see. Okay, hopefully all is going well. It looks like it started. It's welcome, welcome, welcome to In the Room with a Special Agenda. Um, Forgive the no makeup. Moving on. This is the face that God gave me. I'm okay with it. I hope you are too. Now, on to more important things, and that is acceptance. When you have life hands you things that you don't expect, it doesn't mean that it's not a gift. It means it's something that you weren't planning on going in the manner in which it is. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy it and appreciate it. Um, and I say that for those who don't know my journey, and that is we have children that are on the spectrum. One of the things I didn't know, because you just don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what questions to ask. And I didn't know until much later that the probability of my child developing other mental health issues were extremely high. And that's one of the things that it rarely occurs to parents to ask, because you already have been thrown a curve. You think that it's going to go one way, and it goes in an entirely different direction. It seems like it's going straight, and then the bottom drops out as it makes that curve. And that's in that way, in a lot of instances with parenting, it will be that. On so many occasions, it will be that. However, it doesn't mean that it's not a gift. How many people have given a sports car free? No notes, no insurance, that you did not have to pay for any of that. It would all be covered. Because of lack of ability to drive it, would return it to the person that gifted it to them, that cared about you, had no ill intentions. No problems would come with that from the direction of the gift giver. However, the problem is that you had not quite learned to drive yet that particular vehicle. It was your dream vehicle, but you weren't sure how to operate it. Every time you tried to make it go left, it went right. Now, mind you, the vehicle itself is wonderful, but it operates differently than you expected it. It's beautiful though. Lots of other people manage it, but not everybody has one because of the maintenance that they didn't know would come with it, but it's expensive. You got the privilege of getting that as a gift. That's what it is with children. They are indeed a gift. No two are alike, even if they're twins. But when it comes to having been given that curveball of learning that your children may have delays or developmental issues, mental health issues, it's not always easy. They are wonderful in so many ways, yet not always easy to manage, particularly with day to day life, because as parents, you are told that you should eventually get it. Um, it shouldn't be that difficult. And no one tells you that there'll be moments when you are clearly going to be overwhelmed on your best day. As parents, we have in our mind, many of us, that it is a weakness to tap out. And I don't mean that you should walk away. I mean, get help or admit that this is really having a hard time. But parents who have children who have delays, often it's not easy with the first diagnosis. And learning that there might be multiples later is usually daunting because you, at some point, have hopes once you're given your first diagnosis of what's going on. And you go, okay, I got this. I've looked up this information. Um, if we're fortunate, you have a team of doctors that can be of clear assistance to you. And then you are fortunate enough to have family and friends, you're truly blessed, that can be of assistance in helping you manage. But the secret is, the rub is not understanding that there will be a grieving process in which you have to be honest with yourself with what you're dealing with is more than you expected. However, it's also more than you were hoping that you would have to deal with day to day. You can be over your head and not understand that you need to still look after yourself. Many times, those of us who have children who have are on the spectrum, and then as they go through puberty, they start to develop other issues, depression, which is a really different one too. They become someone else. They do. I've had so many parents and friends, um, people I have interacted with through different programs and school for my kids, informed me that they felt like they lost someone that they knew. And it's an invisible situation because people see one side of what you're going through and they say, oh, you're so strong, or they tell you what a great job you're doing without understanding that you may be struggling with and what looks like you're having an amazing abilities when it comes to coping with this, not understanding that you may need, when it looks like you're at your happiest, someone to point you in the direction of getting help, making sure that people just check in on you. Because the one thing about having a family that you are dealing with that they were not how they are currently, it is such a big shock. Oftentimes we overlook the things and signs that we see because it's hard to face, it's hard to accept. A lot of times we attribute it to so many things. Maybe they're just going through puberty, it's a part of a stage where they're going to be difficult. No one wants to look further down the road of what is happening, those signs that we just miss. But with us personally, as parents and caregivers, understanding that those parents, though they appear to be happy, may be deeply grieving. And there may be moments when they have a emotional break. But generally, they don't do it in front of people because there's so many people watching, including the ones that they're caring for. And they can be so overwhelmed because even though they are a gift, they are hard to manage sometimes. And if, as a parent, you feel guilty for even feeling overwhelmed and feeling bad for them as well, that they're having such a difficult time, that things aren't going the way that they needed to go. It isn't, and it isn't selfish to feel that way. Once we accept that we are having a hard time with what we're dealing with on a day to day basis, then we can get the help that we need. When we have to be mindful too that when we are talking to those different ones that we care about in regards to their child or sibling or even their mate sometimes, because there is a thing with adults where they occasionally develop mental health issues, particularly if it is genetic. And occasionally you're unaware of those mental health issues within the family because you don't talk about everything during the dating process. Sometimes you'll talk about so many things, but it just gets missed. Um, but we don't want to be like false comforters like Job had, where you begin to berate them or make them feel bad if they are explaining to you what they're going through. If you can't be the one that listens and hears what they're going through, be the one that directs them where they should go or can go as lovingly as we can. Because sometimes it can be daunting and they may need to talk and it may be a lot. Everybody can't be what you need, but sometimes they can show you where you can get what you need. Sometimes the best help I have been given has been from people who shouldn't have given it to me. It wasn't their job. Sometimes strangers can be more help than family, and that is not a slight. Doctors have fields in which they are experts in. You do not go to your heart doctor about your feet because they are not podiatrists, they are cardiologists. Those two things are different, even though they are related. So, a good doctor does not attempt to continue to manage what needs to be managed by a specialist. So, if we cannot be of assistance to them, it's perfectly kind and loving to encourage them to seek help with, with someone else, with a specialist. Within certain communities, my community, we are not encouraged to seek help in the field of psychiatry. There are many names that will be called, even on the name of our God and Father. But none so important is getting help. Many of us are even afraid of going to a physician. So within our race, we die at a higher rate and have more severe health problems than others because we do not address the things that are important, like our mortality. Those are also concerns that you have when you have children that become adults that have mental health issues because you can't be sick even yourself because who do you have as help? If you're very fortunate, you have people that are able to help you or know where you should go to get help. And if not, you are overwhelmed. And the grieving process of having that reality is huge. Having an understanding that out of love for your loved ones that you care for on a day to day basis, you need to take the time to look out for your own mental health, to take care of you, to take care of yourself emotionally. This one particular book that I am reading, and it applies to so many mental health issues besides schizophrenia, but this is a really big one. And so many of us don't recognize the signs, and we're afraid to allow our loved ones even to seek help. I know personally in many situations of people who needed to seek therapy, but under the advice of family, they were instructed to stop going to a psychiatrist because they were more concerned of being spoken about than they were about making sure that person was well and helping those parents understand too that are having a hard time and are grieving the loss of who their child once was, who you thought they were going to be, who at one point they were becoming, and then they became overwhelmed. For many people, hospitalization for them who have mental health issues when the meds are off, or understanding that they need meds and they need to stay on them, and we need to help them stay on them. It's one of the hardest things to accept that they may be your forever child, not because they are a child and right. They may be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on and so on. They may be in their 20s, but understanding that because they should be doesn't mean they will be. Understanding that their age has nothing to do with their mental health. When we're younger, they used to have a saying where they say, behave like your age, not your shoe size, without understanding. Some people will never become that because they can't. Sometimes inability is not for lack of trying. Sometimes it's just inability to accomplish. Sometimes it will be that you have to modify your expectations and make the adjustments there are. And appreciate that you have been given a gift, that though it's hard to manage, with help, with instruction, with prayer, and persistence, it can be managed. And that's important for us to manage our own issues when it comes to helping our children and not internalizing our loved ones, not internalizing the things that are not happening in the manner in which we hoped that they would, not taking it personally when even on our very best day and lots of effort that they're having a bad day and you're having a bad day. It's okay to talk to each other and say, we're going to try again on a better day. Today didn't go like we planned, but we're going to try again another day. Making sure that you know how much you mean to them, even if they say harsh things. Know that you are important to our Heavenly Father. And it's important to consult Him regularly about our decisions, but do not decide that it's the only treatment that you need. One of Jesus' disciples was in fact a doctor. It's okay to get help. And having mental health problems does not make you someone who's weak, doesn't make you less than, it doesn't make your child less than. They are not a burden. They are a gift that you are learning how to love, how to deal with, understanding that your grief is okay, but you can grieve as much as you need to, but know that staying in that position doesn't give you an opportunity to be appreciative of the gifts that you do have, the gifts that they are. and know that what you're doing is enough. We are enough. And it's not abnormal, and there's nothing wrong with you because you're sad. And each time something difficult happens, it's okay, men and women, to be upset, to be overwhelmed. This particular book has so many things. What signs that you're looking for to know that your child has symptoms that you might need to consult a professional because they are showing signs of schizophrenia. Understanding what you need to do about it if it is that it has resources and resource information here. And it talks about understanding what it is, what schizophrenia is, once you're given that diagnosis. This book has been, oh, it's, I love this book. It's an amazing book. It is a resource book, but it's so much more than that. It talks about the different treatments and medications. This book has been so key in helping me with so many things. And this is by Raquel Eger, MD, PhD, and Anne Braden Johnson, PhD. So check this book out at your local library and look it up on Amazon, or you can look it up at Barnes and Nobles. Get information for them and for yourself. It's so hard with someone that has mental health issues that you have to manage when so much has changed that you didn't expect. So much is just happening that you can't predict. I've had many people say, "Oh, you allow this." It's not that you didn't allow it, you didn't know they were going to do it. And it's a new behavior or something that they're trying to deal with and figure out themselves. Our Heavenly Father is appreciative of how we are kind to each other. We are loving to each other. We are accepting of each other because He accepts us. We are imperfect. And when we make errors and we're repentant and we're forgiving of each other when we make errors towards each other, in all aspects of our life, He lets us know how much we mean to Him. I'm sorry, excuse me. So it's important that we don't forget how much we mean to Him and how much we mean to each other, even if we're having a hard time showing it. Anytime something is not what you expect, grief may be a part of it. The difference in having loved ones that we have to help on a daily basis and then deal with our own mental health issues that will come, they will come as a result of dealing with those difficulties. I said there's no burial for that. And if anyone has lost someone recently or a while ago or years ago, there will be moments where you get through every day just fine. And there'll be moments where you'll be triggered by a memory, a smell. For me, it was hard when I found out that my daughter had autism because watching other children play and communicate and knowing that with lots of effort, there will be moments where it will resemble what was going on with other kids, but learning to celebrate the milestones that came, that she was able to meet, no matter how late they came. But celebrating her came later. Learning to let go of what I was hoping for, what I was expecting, but accepting what it was, but grieving the process of when she was 3 and other children were playing with their dolls and talking to them and asking questions and could hold a conversation, and that wasn't happening. There will be times there will be tears, and I usually try to keep them others from seeing that. So understanding that it's acceptable to do that. It's absolutely the normal part of the process, in fact. So when those things come up, give yourself grace. Thank our Heavenly Father for the gift that you have been given. Understand that it is something that everybody doesn't have, but with prayer, persistence, and acceptance, you can get through it, and there'll be days when it will be great. And there'll be moments that you recognize the things that make them amazing. Have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me in the room with a special agenda. Love each other, even if it doesn't look like what you think it should look like, or what you think other people should think it should look like. Celebrate each other, even if you don't think there's going to be any recognition or acknowledgement. Know that we are gifted in so many different ways. Be great to each other. Thank you again for joining me. Have a great night.